Hello, everyone. We just wanted to take a little time today to go through our planning for 16.6 for the compliance group. I'm going to share my screen and I'll talk through our primary themes for the milestone and then hand it to Nate to go through the individual planning breakdown. So first up for 16.6, we have started some work in 16.5 on improving the manage and edit capabilities of compliance frameworks. So really excited to see this framework view and being able to view the frameworks in the Compliance Center. And previously, we've had it managed from the settings pane. So this is going to really make it a lot more intuitive for compliance teams to manage their frameworks and view everything in one place. So we're going to continue on that theme, and we'll be working on adding some filtering capabilities, um, the um, the drawer or pane, sidebar pane, and continuing with export capabilities as well, and a few other things to bring everything into that compliance center. The next theme that we'll be working on is migrating audit events to ClickHouse Cloud. This is another epic that we are continuing to work on over the course of a few milestones, and so it's continuing on the same theme, which will help us to support larger payloads or more data in terms of our audit events that we're storing. Help us improve search capabilities. There's a lot of things that will help us in terms of improving performance for our audit event features. So that's definitely an exciting effort as well. Next up, this is something that we'll be starting into on the compliance team that should look new to you. This is the ability to view security policies within the compliance framework page that we were just looking at earlier. And what we'll be working on in this milestone is just getting familiar with this plan and defining the implementation. So we'll have some dependencies on the security policies team, such as a GraphQL API that we're waiting on that should be getting worked out in 16.6 so that we can continue on and work on this in 16.7. So yeah, ultimately, the goal from a customer standpoint is to be able to define controls such as custom YAML controls, or to define custom or native GitLab scanner jobs that you want to enforce through security policies, but then be able to link them up to a compliance framework. And the policies will be enforced against the projects that are in scope of the compliance framework. So this will be a very comprehensive workflow that utilizes both compliance features and security policies to achieve that workflow for customers. Number 4 is SAML SSO authentication for merge request approval. We have the ability today to require just a password for merge request approvers that are approving a merge request. We are wanting to support for some customers that leverage SAML SSO instead of having to store passwords in GitLab, which is a concern for them. When that's unnecessary, they would rather just be able to go through the auth flow again to approve that merge request rather than supplying yet an additional password in plain, kind of like in plain text or in what's would be stored in GitLab there. And I would also note, great work from the team on adding the standards adherence reporting capability to our compliance center. This is new. It's showing a number of separation of duties checks that are common across compliance frameworks and regulations. So this is definitely a huge start to expanding out our standards adherence reporting. And we're going to continue with some improvements here, such as, I think I've got a tab up, such as adding some filtering capabilities, adding an export capability, and a few other things. So this is going to make our standards adherence reporting more robust. And then last theme or epic here is continuing with third-party storage systems or streaming destinations for audit events and expanding our audit event capabilities. So we're going to continue with our support for AWS S3 and the subgroup project level view for streaming audit events, which Nate will be talking about, each of these in more detail. So I'll pass it on over to Nate to go into the breakdown.
Perfect. Thanks, Grant. Yeah, so yeah, just based off those themes and priorities, we are going to continue on the work for the new compliance framework report. So we actually have been working on this, the last milestone, and we plan on releasing an initial MVC. There'll be continued functionality added on in the following milestone as well, but this should be released next milestone. The SAML SSO authentication. We have most of the back end and the front end all completed. So this is just tidying up the last little bits, and that should be released in 16.6 as well. Migrating audit events to ClickHouse Cloud. So we're going to start the data transfer from the current staging and production databases over to ClickHouse. And then we can start beginning the rollout of syncing data directly over there and looking at how we can start reading the data from there and hopefully starting to see some improved performance there. The next one was the retry failed status checks. So this has slipped over to 16.6. It was pretty much finished, so that will just be rolled out as well in 16.6. The compliance adherence report improvements. We want to add filtering, as Grant said, and also grouping to make it easier, grouping by either the project or the standard that you're looking at in the adherence report and the export, and also being able to do a scan on demand. That work will go through until 16.7. Default branch protection drop down. So we want to complete all of the non-breaking change work for this. There was a bit of complexity that we weren't sure on as part of that, and we've had to change the plan slightly, which is why it slipped over to 16.6, but on track for release there. Streaming audit events to AWS S3. We have most of the group level APIs all in place, and the UI is in review at the moment. So we'll be releasing the group level and starting into instance level streaming for AWS. And then we're also trying to release the group level filtering by project and subgroup, as this will be at the HTTP destinations, and then we'll start looking at the other storage destinations like GCP and AWS after that. The audit event log, we just can continue adding more audit events to make our coverage more comprehensive, and same with our end-to-end test coverage, continuing adding there. The final one, as Grant mentioned, was the adding security policies views into the new compliance framework report. We'll do the technical implementation planning for this and the breakdown of that so that we can start the work and hopefully get that through in 16.7. Yeah, and that's it from engineering side. Anything else to add, Grant?
Nope, I don't believe so. Yeah, thanks everyone. We'll go ahead and pause here.